moments past noon in Waxahachie, Texas on February 4th. This is our 37th episode of Grit and Good News. And we're deep in the heart of the Lone Star State in our palatial second-story studio in the shadows of the Ellis County Courthouse. And we skipped right over Groundhog's Day. We couldn't get him into our show.
I hate that day. I hate that day. I do. It's dark. It's dreary. It's talking about something stupid.
It's a regional holiday that went big time, no doubt. And I am your co-host, Jeff Lynch. We got Sam capably running the board.
SMU Sammy.
Smooth. Hammy Brooks. And it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce your host, my friend Scott Brooks.
Thank you, brother. Welcome back from.
Before you get into your long-winded stuff, important stuff, I do want to point out I'm wearing a Bills because I got this from our good people at Fanatics who are going to be up the street.
I need to hurry up and open.
And their customer service is unreal. When I ordered one, they didn't have the one I wanted in a 3X. I got a 4. I was swimming in it. I wore it and had my picture taken watching a game at home and sent it off to all the people in Syracuse. And then I returned it and I found one that I liked more that was a Cutter Buck, which I like the brand better, and it was less money. And somehow when you make a return and you talk to them, they start throwing out these 30% discounts to you. And so I used...
And they don't charge you for sending it back.
And they don't charge you for sending it back. Yeah. So I've got now I used to have no quarter zips. Now I got a Bills, I got a Syracuse, I got a Chiefs that I'm wearing tomorrow, Tuesday, and my big find.
Hey Terry, welcome, buddy. Your big find?
The hockey jerseys. Did we talk at all about the Four Nations tournament? It starts next week. In lieu of the All-Star game, the NHL is sponsoring it. Who would be the top 4 teams you would want internationally?
Well,
what
US,
countries?
Canada.
Yeah.
I think Russia.
Yeah, you think
Sweden. Okay.
And Finland.
Okay.
Yeah, the Czech and Russia didn't quite make it. And so it's I've got a USA gorgeous Austin Matthews, who plays for Toronto, but he was born and then I got
Is he a Canadian?
He's an American, but he's playing on a Canadian team, but he'll play for USA. So
I got the jersey you got is what?
I got a USA Matthews jersey.
Nice.
And then I got a Crosby Canada jersey.
Sidney Crosby?
Crosby. And they're both gorgeous.
Kid.
And I ended up getting 30% discounts on those because
from Fanatics?
From Fanatics, because the way I was doing returns. And
Fanatics is the bomb.
I'm telling you, I've always known about them, and I had some other jerseys I've gotten at different times from them, but I got a gift certificate at Christmas this year. That lit my fire.
They're a 30-something
I can't wait for them.
Company.
I can't wait for them.
They're good. They got a lot of great stuff. Now they're into Disney stuff, and I don't care about that crap. But But I get a lot of stuff for Sammy and me there.
So anyway, I got this hat, this Super Bowl hat. It's got the Chiefs on one side, and it's got the Eagles on the other. Sam, would you pull that picture up?
The NFL's rigged. The Bills should be in the Super Bowl.
But I know I did that just to stir it up.
I know it's going to tick me off here in a minute.
About it.
And I hate the Eagles too. But
have you got it up? Okay, so this on my Instagram page, it says at the beginning of the year I put this out. Resolution: no more hats. One of those racks, the right hand side, is all golf hats, and the left hand side is all other
non-golf,
non-golf, and they're 9 tall by 3 wide. They hold 27 slots, and a lot of them have got 2 and 3 in them, and so they're now all nicely organized. And I cotton pick and turn around and break my resolution about January 28th, I think. So,
we're in a new month.
I'm better. I'm better.
Well, hats are like watches, and shoes are addictive, and hats are not cheap anymore.
No, they're not.
$45 or $50 for a hat.
I got this 30% off on that coupon.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right.
Here we go.
Welcome. Thank you for being with us. It's Tuesday here in the wonderful city of Waxahachie. We're here live across pretty much all platforms, social platforms on Tuesdays and Thursdays, noon to 1. We're excited to again tell you that we are now active on TikTok. We went active or live, not live, but we went active last Thursday, and I think today we have 600 and some odd followers. We're on our way to 1,000, at least 1,000 to get us so that we can be live on TikTok, because that's where TikTok lives are really good and very interactive and that sort of thing. So we're getting a lot of play off of our uh, activity there, and I'm looking forward to it. So if you haven't followed us on TikTok, please do. And if you know people who haven't, it's Grit, the letter N, good news, and you'll see us pop up. And we have all kinds of segments there. And again, some of the comments are wild and crazy, but that's what we love about it. So join us on TikTok. Terry says, what was that first word, Terry? Should the Cowboys stop? You need to tell us what that means so that I'll know what you're saying.
Yeah, that's an accident that we don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
We are dumb enough.
So anyway, thank you for being here. We got a lot to talk about today. A lot. Not the least of which is Tariff Sheriff is on the prowl.
Tariff Sheriff.
Yeah, and Trump again. We're 2 weeks from 2 weeks from ago today is when he was.
Moss doesn't grow on a rolling stone, does it?
Oh my goodness! And so all these executive orders, all these things that businessman you would think would do. I mean, sometimes businessmen get in and businesswomen get in and get the lay of the land and then go for it. But Trump's been president before. He knows the lay of the land, knows what's been going on. So he's hit the ground running. With respect to these tariffs, we have talked about these tariffs on our show. I've not yet written about them, but the tariffs are a way. I left that thing on the printer, but are a way of generating external revenue, as Trump has referred to it. Yeah, external revenue service. It wasn't until 1913, that we did not have any form to speak of income tax, although
we were made aware of with that being in our history quiz.
Yeah.
Today, and we all got it wildly wrong.
Yeah, although we did. Although in 1862, Abraham Lincoln did put in a 3% income tax during the Civil War for those making between 600 and 10, it's either 600 or 300 and $10,000 a year.
That was big money then.
I was going to say, I don't know what the equivalent is today, but we did have a little bit of an income tax back in Lincoln's years as president. But the United States did not have any income tax until 1913. And so.
And let that soak in your heads. Okay. That means this country ran without income tax.
And it ran
primarily on tariffs. And I was thinking before the show about this. You know what was the first fight back of tariffs? How about the Boston Tea Party?
That's right.
That was a tariff on tea.
Yeah.
And they said this is excessive, and kaboom.
Yeah. So
boom, we're going to put that in a cotton picking harbor.
I mean, our country, for the government to exist, it's very true. It's not stark, but it's a reality that the government doesn't generate any revenue. It takes money from people. It doesn't generate a thing.
Right.
So, and it gets it from us. So we're talking about right now on this, I don't want to be sidetracked, disregard the SOP. Okay. Got it. But, yeah, Cowboy, maybe. We'll see if Schottenheimer can do any magic. We'll see. But anyway, oh, by the way, on our TikTok, I don't know who this is, and I don't want anybody to say who it is if you know, but there's a commenter that's got Tim Walz's picture, and Dax calls himself Dak Prescott and responds. I thought that was pretty funny. But here we have tariffs. We have a government that does not generate any revenue on its own. It has to take income to have any money to do what it does with. And whether it be USAID, which is now in the crosshairs of of Elon Musk, and that is an agency that all they do is they're supposed to give aid to people and organizations and countries around the world that need it. But what has been discovered is that U.S. aid is just giving away millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars that really have no, I was listening to some of the stuff last night. 70 or $80,000 or $50,000, whatever the number is irrelevant. But to have a trans comic book in Peru.
Oh, that list I heard was
Did you see
so,
that?
yeah. Oh, I wish
Uh,
I'd been writing them down. There were so many things like that.
so what Trump is doing, obviously, for those of you who've been paying attention, is coming and say, one, we're being mistreated by countries that really are. You can make the argument that China isn't superior to us too much in terms of an economic force, but all these other countries are, and we've got lopsided deals where we're paying most of the freight, literally and figuratively, and they're not paying their fair share. I hate that word, but their fair share. Canada's an example, Mexico's an example. So Trump has said, all right, we're going to level the playing field. And that's what I would do in business, and that's what we're going to do here. So he's instituted these tariffs.
So one of the things he was talking about was the inconsistency in the disproportionate number of sales of all the European cars. I mean,
Right.
there's so many great European cars coming here, and nobody's buying ours. And
Over there.
is that because
We're not allowed to sell them over there.
we're not
No,
allowed?
no, just like Canada doesn't allow any U.S. banks to operate in
Hmm.
Canada. Uh, but we don't have the same, it's not reciprocal. So,
Right,
so I think Trump, I mean, for those, there are people arguing, posting on things that I wrote the other day about Trump, about tariffs, and that everything is going to go sky high through the roof now. And some folks were saying, well, wait until automakers can't get parts for
right.
vehicles, and everything's going to go up. And this was on Sunday or over the weekend that they were saying this. Little did they know that yesterday, in response to the tariffs, Canada says, okay, Trump says, I'll give you a 30-day reprieve based on what you say you're going to do, and that is they're now going to create a fentanyl czar. They're going to do other things. I haven't
Right.
seen the whole list, but they're going to do other things. Mexico, same thing.
10,000 troops at the
10,000 troops to
border.
the border. So, I mean, I think for those who want to jump on this tariff, and like Chuck Schumer, what an idiot!
Oh my
Chuck
God. Did
Schumer,
you see him whining
yeah, I
about
mean,
that?
Chuck
Oh,
Schumer's not watching this, and obviously, but Chuck Schumer needs to just shut up. I mean, here's a guy who gets on TV
there's
with a
term
beer
limit
can,
situation there
yeah,
too.
perfect term limits, beer can in one hand, avocado in the other, and is trying to make some creative, uh,
This is really going to affect your Super Bowl on Sunday. I'm going,
yeah,
uh, maybe Sunday in a year.
yeah.
Ain't going to affect anything this Sunday.
Yeah, it's like those people saying, "Well, the price of eggs hadn't gone down yet."
I
Well, it's
Rita might
been
not
two
be making
weeks.
deviled eggs this
Yeah.
weekend. I don't know.
But folks that are saying things about the tariffs ought to just wait and see how these countries respond. We already see Canada and Mexico responding. We now see the Panama Canal and the country of Panama is responding well to uh, Rubio being down there and trying to get a deal done that's fair. I don't see why any American would be opposed to Trump trying to get trying to represent what America actually is in all these deals, and that is the muscle. And I can't imagine if you or I were in business. I am in business, and you were. But if we've got the strength and the power, then why is that we end up on the short end of the
Yeah,
stick?
and there is a trickle down on the cost of given items. It's not like everything you buy. I mean, goodness gracious, we knew in the last 4 years everything you bought went up. So,
Right.
um, you know, bringing in the outside money is one reason to be able to not have to charge more taxes to our people right now.
Yeah, where
You know,
where exactly? But plus, where were all these comments that people want to make now about the price of this or price of that or auto dealers this and the impact it's going to have on this? Where were they all the last 4 years? And no, even the left, the media,
well,
the
there
mainstream.
people complained about prices all those last four
Well,
years.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about the very people who are now jumping on
Oh,
Trump
yeah.
about the tariffs are going to cause price increases. I haven't seen any of these folks in the local community, at least, say anything about prices, and yet now they can't shut up about Trump what they think of these tariffs. If you can just be quiet for a few days and let the response from these other countries that are involved, just like with Panama,
Well,
and
but yeah, I'll tell you what, if you didn't like Trump going into this, it's pretty hard to be quiet when you're hearing from him all the
yeah,
time about something. But you know what? You're hearing all the time about something that matters. But all I'm saying is it's hard to be quiet when the person you hate is always out
yeah. I mean, you
there.
got to practice some discipline, but Trump is doing what he said he would do.
Yeah.
He said it a lot. He's doing it. He's not going to back off. I think Trump, even in his first term and all these years, is crazy like a fox. And people that think he's crazy don't know that uh, the joke is on them, as it were. And the tariffs are a great example of that.
Yeah.
And so I said, the Steel Union of America wants tariffs on steel. Um, and there are other unions, I'm sure, that want the same thing. So I say tariffs are good. I would say that if Biden was wanting to put tariffs, Biden extended the same tariffs that Trump had when Biden took office in 2020. So there's some good in tariffs, and people ought to
Yeah,
just sit
and
and
you,
wait.
you hit on something without really saying it. Here's the other thing it does. It's protectionism for our industries. Whatever industry you're talking about, if there's tariff reducing the amount of foreign competitor of that, it
Right.
strengthens each industry here. Every strong company means
Yeah.
strong labor. There's just
That's a basic common sense, right?
a trickle down dynamic to the
Yeah.
whole thing.
No, I agree with you. All
Yeah.
right. So there's our thoughts on tariffs. With that said, SMU Sammy, smooth.
Got Cancun's today. Let me get that picture right for y'all. Thought we were going to show a TikTok video,
We will when we get to TikTok.
but we didn't. Oh, okay. All right, Cancun's. Cancun's is a great breakfast, lunch, and dinner spot here in Waxahachie. It is located on 77, about 2.5 miles north of 287, and on the west side. It has a beautiful building, and like my dad says, it is a merry Tex-Mex, so you have plenty of options to choose from. If you go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, you can download our Down Home app, and if you check the coupon corner, if you spend $20 at Cancun's, you get a free order of their great sopapillas. Very nice people and a great experience all around. Check out Cancun's.
Very good,
Yeah.
Cancun's. Our house is, as you know, it's been gutted and remodeled downstairs, and it is, I can't use the word I want to use, but
It's currently the longest running remodel I've ever
oh
heard
my,
of.
what started on
And I'm
January 2nd.
what?
So we had to have,
Thought it started on election day.
no, January 2nd. So we had to have, uh, all new floors put in all downstairs, repainted,
All from water damage.
yep, patio, what do you call it? Countertops, repainted the cabinets, all that stuff. And we have been living on DoorDash. Thank goodness we'll get reimbursed for that. But man, has it been stressful? I
I,
don't
I
even know
got
why I
a
said that.
I got a New Year's card from a brother showing the family and talking about what all that was happening in people's life. And then the last thing was we just finished a um, remodel job that had caused us to be washing dishes in the bathroom sink for
Yeah,
13 weeks.
exactly. We
Right?
don't have a sink. We'll have to get a whole new sink and all that stuff. But we don't have a
Is your
sink.
dishwasher work?
Yeah, but I don't know if Sonya's using it because the
Yeah,
paint in there's
yeah.
been wet. But it's DoorDash,
Uh,
straight up DoorDash. Sammy knows it. Our poor dogs, man. Anyway, so when we opened the Sun in 2018, we'll be 7 years old this year, which is amazing in and of itself. But when we opened the Sun, I'll never forget a reader who was subscribing to us, and she said that she wanted there to be, or was hopeful there'd be a whole lot less politics in the Sun. And at that time, I thought, you know what, that's a valid point. I think that it's valid that can be we can overdose. Back then I did overdose on
of local
politics
politics, of
of
national.
local, national, state, you name it.
Yeah.
And so she was hopeful that there'd be less politics. And for a while there, probably for first couple of years, 2.5 years, other than local, which I think we have an obligation. I'll always feel that way. That there wasn't really a desire to. We didn't run any stories, national or state, unless it was really critical about anything the state was doing. But there weren't really any columns of a political nature for those first couple of years, and then it started picking up locally with some shenanigans and some real need to oppose some people and support some others. So we picked it up. We being me,
Right. I was
and
going
letters to
there.
the editors reflected that as well.
Right.
And then we get to the 2020 campaigns, and then we have COVID, and then we have all the things that have happened since these past 4 years. And in politics, Sonia says she can't use the dishwasher, but Terry,
In the
they're
bathroom.
cousins. That's too funny. But so that it didn't come back in little by little. Politics started absorbing and consuming a lot of life for a lot of people. So the question really is there a way to live, much like you say, or we say with social media, is there a way to live without Facebook? Is there well, better yet, better said, because there's so many platforms now, is it possible to live life regardless of the age? I would argue, obviously, it's easier for the older generation to live without, but to live without any social media, any at all. And I'm talking about when I say media, I'm talking about these sites, these whatever you call these sites. No, I'm not talking about Fox and ESPN and that sort of thing. Although the question would be, we had to live without those at one point, right? We didn't have instant
Right.
news,
Right.
and we lived quite well. But now that we've had it, do we see ourselves being able to extricate our life from, like with social media? Can we do it with politics? Can we say life is better lived without politics than with politics? That's a question I ask myself. So if I didn't know all of what's going on, local, state, because state right now, the state of Texas is it's a circus down in Austin right now with this legislation. I mean, this legislative session. It's a mess, and these goobers down there, many of them don't know what they're doing. Not much has been accomplished since it opened this session. So everywhere, is it possible? Is it good, or is it possible to live without politics?
Yeah, and you went a couple of different directions, so I kind of got confused about part of it. To me, the social media, I don't think of it so much as the politics thing as the funny stuff and the communicating between friends, and
Yeah.
there's some political, but when I think about the overdose of the political, I'm talking about in traditional broadcast. You got your CNN for your liberal people, you got your Fox for your others, you got your local news, and you got your regional. But I think that we as citizens of our country really have an obligation to try to keep up with things,
Yeah.
so that we can be educated voters, so that we can get the right people in office. So I
Mhm.
don't know that it's something that we need to try to wean ourselves away from, and anybody can have as much or little of it as they want. Um, nobody, nobody that I know very few people who get the daily newspaper, but
Yeah.
we do,
Right.
but we don't just get it for our news. But you know, I think I get a rounded mix of news, so that I'm not just hearing it from one source. But I don't have an I don't think it consumes my life.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And that makes sense to me. The another way of another question is to say, okay, is it overwhelming? Would you call it an overwhelming or an absorption or being consumed by it? If in most conversations that you have, golf course, at lunch, Sunday school class, wherever, that politics, something within the world of politics is mentioned and discussed. Does that, in your opinion, represent someone who's consumed by it. If at nearly
If they
every
find a way to
discussion,
weave that into every
or if it
discussion.
just, or even if it's not them purposefully doing it, intentionally, if it happens to come up, is that too much? Just like, is it too much that people can't live without posting or reading or being involved in social media?
I'll tell you what, from the time we had the election here in the beginning of November till now, I see that going down some. But boy, the haves and the have-nots and the differences between the winners and losers, and the number of hard feelings and the fractures of families and friendships, and um, it was tough.
Hmm.
I experienced it. It was tough,
Yeah.
but I think it's down some.
Yeah. So
Do you think it's down some?
yeah, I think in some ways it's up some, in some ways it's down some. I think Trump is a catalyst. He's a fire starter. He's an
And he's
igniter.
24/7.
In hockey, he's an instigator.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I don't know that with him being in office, it's ever gonna be calm and peaceful. And maybe that's part of the plan, is for our discussions to be politics free, because what he wants to do is make life better. I would say, if I go back 10 years ago, there is no way, even before I ran the Daily Light, but at all these other newspapers, and most every newspaper I've ever worked for, one was very big, and as such was very liberal. So I didn't want to get in political conversations, but we didn't
Well,
have.
especially because you weren't running those papers. A lot of
No,
your
you're
time
right. Yeah,
was
I
in
was in the advertising
in
and
the
marketing
sales,
side. Yeah,
and boy, you just keep your nose clean and
that's right.
make sure
That's right.
nobody's going to hate you.
Mm,
They're still going to buy your stuff,
Very
right?
good point.
Yeah.
So, but I would also argue that back then we didn't have trans, we didn't have uh, border problems like we do now. We didn't have things that impact everyday life. And now, does
Hmm.
trans impact my life? It doesn't. I don't even know a trans. Well, I don't know a trans person that. Well, I may know one, not know one. You know what I mean? Because I haven't.
I know one.
But I don't. I know you do, and I don't. But I know that what that movement wants to do would impact my life. It's like, I was talking to some people at church the other day, and or yeah, church. And David Averett is the interim superintendent for Waxahachie. And David is a friend. I like him. I admire him. I respect him. He's a very smart guy, a Texas fan, but I won't hold that against him. He's also, he would tell you that he's a liberal,
Right.
and he is with his liberalism like I am with my conservative approach, and that is, I don't really care for the left. I don't. I think he thinks the same thing of the right. And so I saw him. We sit on a board together. I saw him at one of our board meetings, and I looked at him and I said, he was leaving. He had to go. I said, hey, I didn't even think of it as left or right. I just thought of it buddy to buddy. I said, no drag queen stuff. And that was chuckle.
Hmm.
And he kind of chuckled back. And then when he left later, and when I was in my truck going home, I thought, I wonder if he took that to mean that I was saying, as a conservative newspaper guy or media guy, don't do that. Because if you do, there'll be hell to pay from a public.
Hmm.
And I didn't mean it that way. And I don't think David would ever do that. But that's an example of how that movement, although has nothing to do with my life, would
Right.
impact my life. Same thing with the border. Just as soon as we say that the border is somewhere else, a Lake and Riley will happen in our city, or uh, other things may happen. So my point is that politics have become an important part of life, a daily part of life, an hourly part of life, because there are so many issues that have come about in politics by this movement or that movement,
Right.
that we have to be aware of them. Imagine living a life right now without knowing there's a border issue, or a trans issue, or anything Trump's doing, or what the left has done. We imagine not knowing any of that. That's a scary thing, if you ask me. So anyway, that's my thought on why I write so much about politics, because I think people have to know what's going on, and particularly from a city where we're going to have an election here in a couple 2 or 3 months with city council. We've got the two incumbents, Billy Wallace, the mayor, and Travis Smith, a council person, have both declared that they're running again. And so we have until February the 14th or something like that, or 16th, for those who want to run against them to file. So we don't know if anybody's running against them. But those are
Because
critical
we've got
races.
this imbalance where only part of them are up
Yeah,
for
3 and
reelection.
2.
Okay.
3, 2. It's two people in the odd year and 3 people in the even year. So
So
next
so
year,
right now 3 are staying,
3 are staying. I'm
3
sorry.
are
Yeah,
staying, and 2
2
are,
are running in the odd year. So
and the 2 that are running are incumbents running.
yes, Billy and
Yeah.
Travis.
Yeah.
So and then they may not be opposed. I'm sure they would like not to
Yeah.
be opposed, but I want them to be opposed only in the sense that it's good for our community to have people have competition. But the point is, politics is now has virally entered our lives in such a way that it never has before, in my opinion, because
Right.
all the movements, all the issues, we really need to know what's going on. So that said,
Let's move on
it's
to the
time for
good Rooter
your,
people.
oh yeah, it's time for Mr. Rooter, Sam
Mr.
Bo.
Rooter. We love Mr. Rooter. Mr. Rooter is located all over North America. They are also local here in Waxahachie. This is what you'll expect should you call them. They do residential and commercial work. You are always going to get licensed experts. They're going to arrive on time and keep your house clean with mats and shoe covers. They are friendly to every client. They always provide a price before they start, and they can also remodel your bathroom. You can call at 469-240-3113 or reach them on the web at mrrooter.com/Waxahachie.
Waxahachie. Mr. Rooter, all right, bud, it's random thoughts for today. What you got?
Random thoughts for today.
Yeah.
This is a Jeff Lynch phrase that I use often. I don't know if I ever dropped it on you, but when somebody says something or other, and I'm not totally buying into it, I say, "You got the talking part done."
That's a good one.
This is another one that is between Rita and I.
Reading me.
I'm sorry. God, I don't like to make mistakes like that. Between the darling bride and the big guy, um, and maybe we're at the table, um, devouring the newspaper, and we're kind of talking about a subject, or maybe we're just talking about all kind of weird things, whatever comes up, and one of us will say to the other, "Who else is having this conversation right now?" Because we're sure nobody in the world is talking about
Yeah,
what we're talking about. Um,
that's funny.
this third one comes from God rest his soul, a great man that I knew in business whose name was Hank Hankomer, and he was in the National Accounts Department, and he came in to work with me at the BNSF Railroad one day, and I came to pick him up from his hotel, and I was about 5 minutes late, and he looked at his watch and he said, "Dollar waiting on a dime." And I thought, you are so old, Texas native. I've never heard that. It is
Dollar
so
waiting on a
no,
dime.
it is so good because not only is it saying that you're late,
Yeah,
but my time
yeah,
is worth more than you. You can only
yeah,
say that in the right
yeah.
power
Just
balance type
slammed
of
you.
thing,
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's funny.
just a simple everyday phrase. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I was thinking of one more that I needed today, and I started thinking about everything that's happening with Elon and everything that's happening with tariffs and um, people think to balance their budget, the only the only way to balance your budget is to get more on the income side.
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah,
what if we spend less?
yeah.
And so I just thought about the dollar saved is the dollar earned, and that is really what President Trump is doing. He's trying to save money because then it's earned money for our country.
Yeah, that's you'll hear financial planners over the years. I've heard them, and I'm a free spender, I'll admit, to a fault. But people, these guys will say it's not it's not an earning problem that people have. It's a spending
Exactly.
cards.
Exactly.
And that really is true. And
Yeah.
whether it's a divorce or whether it's just, being impulsive or, there are catastrophes that happen and that sort of
Living
thing.
beyond your means is
Yeah,
what it
going on
really is.
vacations, it's all. But anyway, those are good, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Very good. Sammy, before we get to our big topic of the day, I I know what you were talking about earlier. You're going to show some TikToks.
Uh,
Why don't you show real quick? I just want everybody to see Grit and Good News on TikTok. If you can pull one up, Sam,
1 second.
and you'll see how we've structured this and what you'll actually see when you go to it, what you'll hear, that kind of thing. So we're really pleased with it. Sammy did all of this, and I'm grateful. I know Jeff is too, but it's a really talented thing. Well, it takes talent to do it, and I wanted you to see what what you'll see when you go there.
You ready?
Got it? Yep. At it again this morning. I mean, at 78 years old, that's pretty admirable compared to the other 78-year-old. I mean, can you imagine? I don't even remember Biden's inauguration, but can you imagine or picture Biden being so, he was so, Trump was chatting to everybody. He had, I don't know how many speeches to make. He was active and he was everywhere. I can't imagine that with Biden. But Trump, in other speeches, alluded to the fact that he wanted to say more in his inauguration speech about where we've been. He wanted to bring up some things,
And his people
and
told him not
don't
to
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but when I was watching this, like most everybody else, when it doesn't make any sense to me that when there's something said good about the country, or that something that Trump in this case wants to do good for the country, like secure our borders or make us great again, or even if he doesn't use one of his slogans, if he just talked about the greatness of America, that the left won't stand and clap. And he's back. There you go. So that's our site for now, or our page, our videos, and I don't know how many of them are posted right now, but there's several, and there are several of this today will be clipped apart and shown on TikTok again when we go live. When we hit 1,000, there'll be a lot of interaction. And one of the things
and due to some complications that Sam may be able to fix some or not,
yeah,
you're going in under grit and then the letter N,
good
good
news.
news.
Yeah,
Not
grit
and.
and good
Grit
news.
and good news.
Yep. So
Mm.
so that's what you'll get. And I hope you like it, and I hope you participate. And again, ask others, if you will, to follow us once you have, and we'll be at 1,000 in no time, and we'll just keep going and going and going and going.
Great.
As we get better, hopefully that'll grow. So Saturday night at about 11:15, Sonia and I are watching a movie or a series or something that we started this series called The Servant. Ooh, creepy. But
Another creepy.
we're watching it, and Sammy calls, and I didn't hear it right away, and then I called him back, and he's like, "Dad." I'm like, "What, son? What's going on? Everything all right?" "Yeah. Did you see where Luka got traded?" I remember it. It was almost the same thing when Sammy called me and said, "Dad, did you see Trump got shot?" Because I'd taken a nap. And I'm like, "No way." Same thing I said about Luka. "No way could that be the case." And Sammy says, "Yes, he got traded for Anthony Davis." And I'm thinking, whoa. I said, let me hang up and do my own investigating here. And sure enough, as we all know now, the superstar for the Dallas Mavericks, 25-year-old, I think he's 25. Is he, Sammy? 25?
I heard that, yes.
Yeah. 25-year-old Luka has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers along with Maxi Kleba and Marquise
Morris.
Morris. Is it
Los
Keith or
Angeles-
Keith?
He has a brother or twin brother.
he
I
does.
don't know which one he
Yeah,
is,
he's
but
kind of just thrown in. I don't
Yeah.
know, But anyway, what did you say, Jeff?
The former Minneapolis Lakers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the sports world is being consumed right now, not with the Super Bowl coming, but with this Luka trade, and it is everywhere, and everybody's got an opinion, just as we do. So Jeff and I are going to talk it through real quick. So I'm going to let Jeff jump in this. Would you have made the trade? If so, why? If not, why?
Yeah, and let me just throw in before this, what I found was interesting was how it all came about, and that it was very secretive. Evidently,
Two people.
in LA was in here for a game, and Nico has a cup of coffee with their general manager, and they start talking about what ifs.
January the 7th.
January the 7th. and then all of their conversations continue to be secretive. Mark Cuban never hears about it. Nobody hears about it. The
The
new
Utah Jazz didn't know about it. They
the
were part of the deal.
the new ownership people didn't know about it till he pulled it off. And the concerning thing there, he says, well, we had to do it that way because if word got out that we were going to do something with Luca, then there'd be all controversy and all stir and all this or that or the other. But the thing that I'm hearing, and I am not the hoops guy, but I am a sports guy, and I do know this when I keep hearing time after time after time that big time players right now in the NBA that are getting traded, that we're getting 3, 4, 5 firsts and players.
Yeah.
And for us to get what we got in comparison seems low. And the fact that they kept it secret, if the word had gotten out, maybe there could be a little bidding up of
That's
the ante.
actually, I read a story last night that went into detail about how this transpired. You mentioned some of it, and I want to let you finish, obviously. But uh, Nico Harrison of the Mavericks said that he did not. The only other person that knew about it was Rob Pelinka, the general
Yeah,
manager. But he said, I did not want other teams to know about it because Luca's agents would have started bargaining and leveraging and all this stuff. It would have become a circus, and we did not want that to happen. We knew who we wanted. They knew they wanted Anthony Davis because of his defensive acumen, and and they got the other guy, Christie, but he knew what he wanted, and he didn't want anybody to know. Even as
right.
Sonia just said, Luca had no idea. Uh, oh, there's an echo. Okay, Luca didn't even know. Um, so your superstar, you would think. Well, imagine if Michael Jordan was going to be traded in any of those years. He ultimately played for Washington, but not due to
Right.
a trade. But can we imagine them not telling him you're going to be traded? So anyway, carry on. But
Well,
it was a crazy process.
yeah. Now, the other thing I think of is I hear that Luca was eligible at the end of this year for the super max contract, which is like 5 years for
346 million.
346.
69 million a
But
year.
but now that he's with the Lakers,
It
he's
cut off 100 million. So now
gonna
I think he's eligible for 222 million.
Yeah,
okay.
that supermax is intended to do what players like Dirk.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
keep him there.
yeah,
So Luca just suddenly finds out it's going to cost him $1 million. And have we ever heard of something called state income tax, which we don't have
yeah,
here, but they
Mm-hmm.
sure do in California?
yeah,
It's costing him a lot of money.
yeah.
Um,
Terry says the Mavs will regret it.
as for Luca himself, um, AD that we're getting, I think I read that he was averaging 25 points and 12 boards. And what's Luca averaging? 27,
I think it's
30, no,
28 points,
yeah.
like
Well,
that.
28
Luke hadn't
points.
played much. Yeah,
Yeah, he hadn't played since like December
Luke
22nd.
is Nico referred to him as Magic Johnson. One of the other folks who didn't like this trade said he's a 33, 9-9 player.
Yeah.
33 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, night in, night out. That's what Luca is.
Yeah, yeah.
Anthony Davis is probably, if that were going to be said, be 25, 12, 5, something like that.
And he is
Um,
also the biggest whiner since the word was ever created. And I attribute part of that.
you talking about Luca
Luke
or
or AD?
I don't know much about AD.
Oh, you're talking about Luca?
I'm talking about Luca.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
well,
And he learned from the best, which was the great Dirk, who 19 years here, and he was always complaining. But here's the deal: he didn't get the technicals the way that Luca did, because Luca, he can't just get his bellyache in or his glare or his head shake. No, no, no. He's got to go on and on and on, and boom, slap him with a tee.
yeah, Sammy knows this that for a number of years now, I'm like, I can't watch Luca play. I mean, I love all the brilliance, but to complain on
Eh,
every single play. What were you gonna say?
Every single play. But one thing about whenever I heard about this trade, for some reason, the one thing that popped in my head was when we traded Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
And it felt like the same because we traded Amari Cooper for what felt like nothing at the
Yeah.
time, and it's kind of
Well,
the same.
yeah. I mean,
It ain't no Herschel Walker the way that one worked out.
no,
Yeah.
No,
and
siree.
Sammy's too young to know
Yeah.
remember the Herschel Walker. But let me. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's good.
Anything else you want to add, Sam?
I just think we should have got more, but
But do you like the trade or no?
I don't like to trade. If you're
Okay.
gonna trade, I don't. If you want to trade him, cool, but go out and get more. Get Austin Reeves. Get more picks. Don't just
Well,
get what you got.
I know this may not surprise either of you, but I'm good with the trade. Let me give you some interesting reasons why. So here's Luka. First of all, Luka has not played for the Mavericks since Christmas Day. All right. Uh, in total, he's played 45% of the 49 games that the Mavericks have had this year. Luka, since 2018, Luka has been injured, and this isn't equivalent of missing games. This is the number of injuries Luka has had every year since he entered the league. In 2018, he had 8 different injuries. 2019, he had 12 different injuries. 2020, 5 different injuries. 2021, 8 different injuries. 2022, only 2 different injuries. And 23 had 6. Last year, how many injuries do you think Luka had,
This might be cheating, but I think it's around 12.
Jeffrey?
I just remember it added up to 66 in 7 years. So
25. In 2024, Luka had 25 different injuries, which is why he's
does
only
that count
played 40.
hangnails?
Yeah, he's played again 45% of the 49
Yeah.
games. And so Luka, in 7 years that he's been in the league, he's averaged 9.5 different injuries every year. He has missed in those 7 games. He has missed 91 total games. Uh, it doesn't. I think this is skewed a little bit because other statistics say that he's averaged 60 games a year played, um, which doesn't really add up exactly. But
Yeah.
he's averaged 60 games a year that he's played. How many games a year do you think Anthony Davis has played in his career? Because Anthony Davis is injury prone.
I would say worse from what I know. So
Anthony Davis has played 60 games a year, almost identical the number,
oh wow.
like 60.8, 60.6.
So then you just go back to their age.
So then let me give you these stats. So in the same 7 years that Luka has been in the league, using just the last 7 years for AD, here's AD's injury numbers. In 2018, he had 9. 2019, he had 12 injuries. 2020, he had 17 different injuries. 21, he had 20 different injuries. 22, he had 9 different injuries. 23, he had 3 different injuries. In 2024, the same year that Luka had 25 last year, Anthony Davis had 26 in different injuries. In those same years, 7 years, again, Luka has had 9.5 injuries per year. Anthony Davis has had 14 injuries per year. Now, that's the injury part. They are very similar when it comes to the number of games that they played in each of those years. They've averaged 60. So there is no difference between the number of games they played. It's exactly the same. With respect to your point about the whining, and the whining, I think, comes from these European players whine like the Dickens. They just are. I think that's what goes on over in Europe, and so they're raised that way.
Yeah.
And they come over here and they whine about everything. So here is Luka. Luka has, in the 7 years he's played, he's had 78 total technicals. All right. He's had, and that includes the playoffs. That means 12.5 technicals per year. He's been tossed somewhere. I didn't write this number down, but I remember reading it 7 to 8 times total.
Mm.
Anthony Davis, in those same 7 years, has had, again, Lucas had 78 technicals, 12.5 a year. Anthony Davis has had 18 technicals, 2.5 a year.
And that's the guy playing center, right?
That's the guy. Well,
Where all the banging and
he's playing center, but he's not gonna play center here. That's gonna be Lively.
We have Derek Lively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna play
yeah,
power forward
but
here, which is what he wants to play. He doesn't want to play
Yeah.
center because he claims that's where he gets all beat up.
Well,
And
yeah,
I actually just saw a post on my phone that said he was looking to gear up on Thursday versus the Celtics, but I could be wrong.
Is
But
that
it's
right?
Thursday. He's
Yeah,
thinking about
Luka
Thursday.
won't play. So reportedly, Luka will play starting next week. I think on the 8th.
And back to that injury stuff. Your best ability is what? Your availability.
Yeah. So I mean, it just there's something else going on here. In addition, Luka has dragged the culture down. Luka is not well liked. Something is going on. Terry says Jason Kidd didn't even know, and that's right. Jason Kidd had no idea. It's amazing to me. Two guys kept this secret for a month, and that in and of itself just amazes me. I think the Mavericks are going to be a better team. Frankly, I really do. As long as these players can stay healthy, this starting five with not Jason Kidd, with Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, Christie, Lively, and whoever this fifth one will be. I think we're going to be not we're because I'm not a big Mavs fan, but Mavs will be better. Lakers, I don't know how the Lakers. How is it? I don't. We can talk about it all day, but I don't see Luka and James as great in sync teammates.
Do you think the Mavs will be good just the rest of this year, or do you think going forward this will
Well, if
help
they
us?
don't tinker anymore with it, I mean, they may need to get what we would argue they should have gotten in this trade.
you know, one of his strengths is feeding the ball.
Who?
Lucas.
Yeah.
And you know, behind that passes people aren't looking and whatnot. No, I think he and LeBron can get along just fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know
it's
that-
different
Sure.
because remember when the Brooklyn Nets whole trio happened,
Yeah.
nobody
It
really
didn't seem-
expected. But with
Yeah.
a LeBron player and a Luka player, it's a little better, you know.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
LeBron's
I'm excited.
41 years old.
I'm
So I'm
excited.
here to say, for the record, for those of y'all watching that want to excoriate me after you hear this, I believe it's a good trade. I believe there are reasons that we don't know about that ship Luka off. I think Luka is too much of a drag, and frankly, I don't think Luka's a leader. That's the challenge, the issue I have.
And last thing,
Oh.
do you think you like the trade, but do you think that they should have gone for more, or
I think they could have probably gotten one more player in that.
yeah?
that-
But you like the
that-
trade.
But I'll take the trade.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're running late with too much Luca, but here this was
That-
on the back of the
Yeah.
front page of the Dallas Morning News
And he
this
doesn't
morning.
mention the Mavericks in there.
Dear Dallas, 7 years ago, I came here as a teenager to pursue my dream of playing basketball at the highest level. I thought I'd spend my career here, and I wanted so badly to bring you a championship. The love and support you all have given me is more than I could have ever dreamed from a young kid in Slovenia. Coming to the U.S. for the first time, you made North Texas feel like home. In good times and bad, from injuries to the NBA Finals, your support has never changed. Thank you for not only sharing my joy in our best moments, but also for lifting me up when I needed it the most through all the organizations I've worked with throughout the Dallas community. Thank you for letting me contribute to your important work and join you in bringing light to those who need it. As I start the next part of my basketball journey, I'm leaving a city that will always feel like a home away from home. Dallas is a special place. The Mavs are special friends. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Luca 77.
I think there's a press conference about to start out there.
There you go.
I say good trade. Let's rock and roll, Mavericks. I don't really care for the Mavericks, but I like to see them do well. Anyway,
We're running terminally
we are.
late.
So you got to get
Terminally
rolling.
late. All right. Mirrors and scales. This is somewhat of a follow up to my one regarding weight loss in the tailless scale the other day.
Yeah.
Mirrors and scales. Excuse me. Here we go. Mirrors don't lie, neither do scales. If you hear it otherwise, somebody's telling you tales.
Oh,
Mirrors and scales tell the old fashioned truth. While AI is the rage, you can't believe a page. When you're trying to lose weight, don't take the bait. The scale numbers you see reflect what you ate. Here's the real deal that AI can't steal. The truth is not far. You are who you are. Mirrors don't lie, and I'll tell you why. They show the real you. That's all that they do. If you don't like what you see, make changes to thee. and the mirror can say, "You look better today."
Very good, Sammy. I'm not a poet, so when you
I
asked
know.
me to rhyme it out, you know what? I, I, I had somebody in class, Sunday school class, before Sunday school class, say to me the other day, buddy of mine, he said, Scott, are you okay? He said, how much weight have you lost? And I said, well, if you go back to 2020, I was 227. Today I'm 175, so 52 pounds. He said, you sick? I'm like, no, I don't have cancer. I don't have any of that stuff. I'm just a lot lighter and I feel better. And that's it. I'm not going any lower. But I always find it funny that, that's the first thing you go to, right?
50 on 220,
227.
227.
That's a lot.
That's over 20% of
Yeah.
body weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, good poem. Very, very good. All
Thank
right. We got 2 minutes to do our.
We're gonna
so
race
we're
through it.
gonna hurry, hurry, hurry.
Here we go.
All right. Let's go.
Electors unanimously chose George Washington to be the first president of the United States.
Oh my gosh. 1717.
1745.
1789.
I was going to say 92 and I couldn't
Uh,
remember.
George
Dang it.
Washington.
This is,
Yeah, that
all
hurts.
right. John Marshall took office as Chief Justice of the United States, a position he would hold for a record 34 years.
Mm,
1832.
no, 19.
No, 19 anything. 1801. We're
Oh,
moving
wow.
on.
Okay, yeah.
All right. President Franklin D. Roosevelt,
18.
British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and Soviet leader Joseph Stalin began a wartime conference at, and a bonus for this one, and I got it. Where was the wartime conference between those big three?
Who were the three again? I can't remember.
Churchill, FDR, and Stalin. England, U.S., and Russia.
Where
The
was it?
big
It was in Russia.
Moscow.
was in Yalta.
I don't even know where Yalta is.
It is in Russia.
All right,
I
but what
got
year
it.
was?
1945.
Oh, I was going to say 39, so I'd have gotten it.
I'll take it. I'll take
Yeah,
the
well,
loss.
you gave us a win there, Jeff. Okay, go ahead.
I was
Thank you.
Russian for you.
Russian.
Uh,
huh?
All right. Well,
That's
I
a
got two.
fun
I got
pun.
two of them though.
All right.
Newspaper heiress Patricia Hearst, 19, was kidnapped in Berkeley, California by the radical
1978.
1974.
Symbionese Liberation Army. 1974. Sam is the man.
Oh,
The
Sammy.
I'm
bonus is
here.
in effect. More than 23,000 people died when a severe earthquake struck Guatemala with a magnitude of 7.5. I am really bad on earthquakes and volcanoes.
1998.
1997.
76. A civil jury in Santa Monica, California found O.J. Simpson liable for the deaths of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Goldman, ordering Simpson to pay
33 million.
33.5 to the victims' families. And bear in mind, the criminal trial,
1995, October 3rd.
this is the civil afterwards,
Yeah, so I can't remember how many years. I'm going to say 98.
99.
97.
Oh, man. I needed that.
Facebook began its beginnings as Harvard student Mark Zuckerberg launched the Facebook.
2004.
2005.
2004, the bonus.
Booyah. Oh, yeah.
British scientists announced that the skeletal remains they had discovered during an evacuation beneath the Leicester, England parking lot were beyond reasonable doubt the remains of 15th century monarch King Richard III.
Is that the last one?
It's the last one,
2018.
2019.
2013.
Oh, we both got it.
Okay.
Very good. 6-3. Thank you very much. Terry says, I wonder how the Luka Lakers, I bet they'll sell pretty good. We'll see. Depends on how well he does. Question will be, will Anthony Davis sell many Mavs jerseys? He's got a good attitude coming in.
I think so too.
I've
right.
got
Luke
a
is keeping
good
Luke is keeping his
attitude.
number, by the way.
Luke is
77.
keeping his number?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine. So here's the meme or what we close out with usually. In times of universal deceit, telling the truth will be a revolutionary act. George Orwell.
George Orwell,
Amen to that. All right.
author of Animal Farm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us. We love it. We're happy you're here. We'll see you on Thursday at noon. And be sure to check us out on TikTok and follow us, please. With that, I'll turn it over to Jeffrey.
Remember, don't write a check. You can't cash. Boom.